Yo, what is up? So I got a request a little while ago about, maybe not a request. They were just asking me how to set up shooting for an isometric shooter. Actually, I got the thing here. I don't have the name on here, so I don't embarrass them. But essentially, they're asking. I'm trying to make the line trace go in a straight line in the direction of my mouse cursor. Do you know what I have to do to make that? So I'm going to help out with that. Let me just minimize that on my other screen. All right, so starting off here, we want to create a top-down, and we're going to make this called isometric shooter. Isometric underscore, because you can't have spaces. Isometric shooter. Create. Okay, let's see what we're working with here. Shift F11 to make full screen. So what are we working with here? So if I hit play here. Okay. So we have like the old school RuneScape-esque clicking system here. All right. So for your thing that you're requesting, you probably want to use WASD keys. So I'm just going to go through that because I don't really have a whole lot of details on what your project looks like. So let me just go in here and, okay, input and see what kind of, let's see what kind of input actions they're doing. Mappings, okay, they just have like a click and touch thing. So what we need to do is we need to create a input action of our own. I'm actually just going to delete these. We don't need these. Okay. We're going to create an input action. These probably have references somewhere else. We'll deal with those later. Input action. Call it IA underscore movement. Okay. Double click on this. And we don't usually mess with this one, but this time we are. So we're just going to make this an axis 2D. 2D, yes. Yeah, axis 2D for the movement. And then we're going to go back into, we can close that actually. We can go back into this IMC default. And we're going to add the mapping we just created. So this is the IA movement. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing on why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we're going to create movements for each key binding. So it's going to be WSAD. So W, let me just create all these. W, and then you just have to click on the keyboard and you press S. Same thing for all these things, WSAD. So the first one, it's going up. So left, so we want to create a modifier for this, and essentially, this is kind of, so swizzle axis components of an input value. Useful to map a 1D input onto that y-axis of a 2D action. So if I do this, this will allow you to map it to the y-axis. So that's why it's on RW. So if we add more modifiers here, we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be the reverse. So instead, we're going to negate it. And then for your A, that's a little bit different. You're just setting up a negate for it, because you don't need to do the swizzle for the A and D. I know that explanation was absolute trash, but we're going to play around with it a little bit in a second. So let's go into, I don't know where anything is in these. Top-down controller. Yeah, we can map it in here. I think we can do all the mapping in here. So the first thing we want to do is get our input action for the mapping. So the movement, sorry. So the input action for the movement. Movement. We need to split this because we need the X and the Y for the things we just created. So the first thing we need to get is a player character. So we get the player character, and off of this we want to add the movement input. So add movement input, attach it to started. Triggered? I think triggered. All right, so we're adding a movement input. This is going to be off of, we're going to do the x-axis first. So we're just going to attach this here, and then the world direction, that's where we get the control rotation. Get the control rotation, so where it's moving, and then we want to, actually I need to split this because I only want the X and the Z here. So get right. Let's see. I want to get the okay, it is get right vector. It wouldn't let me do it because it starts off as a as that, and I need to split it first. So X, Z, attach this to world direction, and that should be fine for that. Because we have this, and then we have the inverse or the negative of this, which is the opposite. So if I started right now, it should go back and forth on this axis with between A and D, but my W and S keys do not work. So now I just need to set up the W and S keys. So I'm just going to do the same thing, add movement input. I need to get the character, attach it to that, get player character, attach it to this. And we're essentially going to do the same thing with these two things, except for this is going to be a forward vector. So let me just do that, and it's going to just be the Z. So get forward. Did the same mistake. Get forward vector, split this, and then attach this to the Z. Move this over a little bit, attach this to the world direction, and then the scale value here is going to be the Y. So that's going to be back and forth. So that should work. So now you can move around with your WASD keys. Perfect. Cool. Next thing we want to do is get the rotation. So we want the character to follow where my mouse is on the screen. So if I go into here, and we get an event tick, because it needs to happen every tick, because I'm constantly moving my mouse. I'm gonna just set actor rotation. I need to get a player reference again. Get player character, and we want to set the actor struggling hard. All right, get actor rotation. Let's see. So easy enough. We now know what we need to get for this, which would be the actor rotation, and then we need to get where the mouse is in space. So we need the difference between those two. So let's get the actor rotation first. Get actor rotation. So let's get this actor rotation, and then I can split this because you want the X and Y to stay the same here. What you want to change is going to be the Z, the rotation around, for the rotation around. So what we need to do is we need to find the look at rotation. Look at rotation. And the starting is going to be the actor. So it's going to be the first thing is just going to be 0. So let's get the vector. I'll just promote it to a variable, and that's just going to be 0. And then the target is going to be a lot of different things. Goodness gracious. Maybe I'll start from the back. Let's do get player controller. And from this player controller, we want to get the cursor. Get hit result under cursor by channel. Performs a collision inquiry under the mouse cursor. That sounds right. So we can take this and we can split this. And the hit result impact point, or should it be? Should be the location. I'm gonna do impact point and we'll see if it works. So subtract here and attach this here, and then we're gonna subtract it from the player character location. So get player character, and then we want to get actor location. Get actor location, and we just want to hook that up into here. And then this is going to go right here. So that's going to be our Z. Compile, save that. Should be fine, right? Yeah, okay, so it's following the mouse. So it's following the mouse. All right, so that's pretty good, right? Aiming at the mouse. So next thing, what do we want to do? The next thing, we might as well just do the projectile then, because we took care of the rotation, movement, and then I'm just going to do the projectile and then be done with this. So let's just create another input action here. let me just go into input actions. Let's go into input action. Oh yeah. This is all the movement stuff, right? Yeah. So let me just delete this. A lot more clear. And then I can just go into here and I can see if this is connected to anything else. No, it's not. Deleted it. Input action. IA, I'm just going to call it projectile because we're just going to fire some sort of projectile from. I'm not going to create any cool thing to go with it. Just going to save it here. We don't need to make any changes. Go into our IMC default and we're going to add a new mapping, and that mapping is going to be the projectile we just created. You click on this little keyboard here and then you click again. And it can be the left mouse button or any other input you want to put in there. So let me save that and let's create the actual projectile. So I'm gonna go into create a new folder, might as well. Projectile, go in here, blueprint class, actor, BP underscore projectile. Double click on this and we're looking at this. I'm gonna do this really simply by just adding a sphere here and shrinking it down because I can already tell that thing is freaking huge. We're gonna try to 0.2. And let's add I'm drawing a blank. What is it called? Projectile movement. Projectile movement, and we're going to set the gravity. This should look similar if you did the tower defense tutorial. We've done this with the magic stuff. So projectile gravity scale is 0. And then we want to set the gravity to 0, and then we want to set the speed. So I don't know how fast this needs to be. Set like 2,000, I guess. And you can adjust that however you like, but I think that should be good for now. Right, I think so. Should be fine. All right, let's go into third person character. Sorry, I'm kind of blanking out. It's like 4 something in the morning. I think it's almost 5 actually. I don't know what time it is anymore. All right, let's go. Where's my shooter? Where's my character? All right, so here we're gonna get our input action. Input action. Projectile. And on started, I'm gonna spawn the actor I just created. Spawn actor from class. I need to create a scene for this guy first. Sorry about that. Go back to this guy. Add a scene. He has a collision blocks. Let me ignore that. Oh yeah, that's for that. Let me go to the sphere here and let's remove this collision box real quick because it's just going to bounce into the collision box. If I don't put no collision here, Compile, save that. Okay, that should be fine. Go back to the error here. I just created the scene component. So the scene component is going to be my point at which it's going to be firing the projectile. So if I drag out the scene, get world transform, and attach that here. Let's go with that, and this will be the projectile. Projectile, compile, save, and that's good. Yes. Play. All right. And I'm firing projectiles from my chest. All right. Well, that's it. I guess I hope that helped. I hope that's what you wanted. Yeah. See you in the next one, or thank you for watching, or whatever. Bye.